Process. Here comes Rubalcaba. Rubalcaba dribbling to the center. Rubalcaba! Haley dribbles her way through the player. Now serves across towards the far post. Arriving Cailin! Goal! Manoliliua at the edge of the 18. Touches it onto her right. Fires! What a save by Katie McLaughlin!
Hey, will anyone get there for DVC? It's Yasmin firing! Turns, Plancarte! What a save by Megan Elms!
Tied by the last defender. Valentine comes out. Noelle dribbles the keeper. Lemos! Goal! And that is a DVC victory! Welcome, faithful followers of the Green and White. I'm Joe Hickey, the radio voice of DVC Athletics, and this is Viking Soccer Rewind, a season-long trip in the Nostalgia-mobile to help us pass a long fall semester with no DVC sports. Today, we've got the 2016 second-round playoff between DVC and number 8 seed Las Positas, as two teams with a combined 3 losses on the season each seek their first appearance in the State Elite 8 in program history. While DVC liquidated Solano quite easily 3 days prior, Las Positas had the most dramatic game of the first round by far in Livermore against DVC's conference mate Sierra. Down a goal and a player by halftime after centre-back Mildred Hill was sent off in the 37th minute, they would score 4 times in the second half, including 3 in a frenetic 9 minutes in which they tied the game at 2-2, then took the lead, then conceded a Sierra equalizer, and then retook the lead moments later. The status of the Hawks' imperious center defender, Mildred Hill, was the subject of a lot of discussion in the immediate lead-up to this game, as LPC coach Paul Sapsford was convinced that she would be exonerated and have her 1-game red card suspension repealed. So convinced, in fact, that he submitted her name on the starting lineup that I read over the public address and at the start of our broadcast. As you'll hear, though, that turned out not to be the case, and she sat out so as to avoid a potential forfeit for fielding an ineligible player. DVC, for their part, were a little uneasy about this game. They had faced LPC in their 3rd match of the season and watched a 2-0 lead in the 55th minute evaporate with alarming speed and become a 2-2 game in the 63rd. Though they did manage to construct a late game winner to continue what became a 7-match winning streak to start the year, the words Las Positas were uttered the whole rest of the season as a code for keep working, especially when you might feel like taking your foot off the gas pedal. The real feeling in the DVC camp, though, was that the addition of Noelle Palmer to the lineup since then, combined with the absence of Mildred Hill at the back to deal with her, was going to be a major swing in their favor. Repeating the formation that won them the Solano game, they went looking for another early tally and another big win to take them to heights never before scaled in Pleasant Hill. And that's where we're headed, November 22nd, 2016. Number 1 DVC, number 8 Las Positas, live via tape delay on Viking Soccer Rewind. Las Positas Hawks in their all-white road kit with a few red and black markings down the sides and red numbers outlined in black with Las Positas in black over the top will line up. They're in a 4-4-2. It appears Ali Nunes in goal, Rita Santoyo, Mackenzie Bammer, Mildred Hill, and Ashley Carlton across the back of the defense. Kaylee Silva, Yadi Torres, Camila Fonseca, and Rhiannon Adams in the midfield. Mackenzie Paulo and Jessica Morales up top, although we'll see if that develops over the course of this into some other sort of shape. And the Vikings huddle breaks. They head out onto the field with the exact same formation they used 3 days ago to beat Solano. A 3-4-3, Katie McLaughlin in goal, Dre Weinstein, Zoe Raymer, Jessica Jaime in the defense, Cam Chan and Carla Ramos on the right side and left side of the defense, bracketing the two center midfield, the sides of the midfield. Bracketing the two center midfielders, Megan Malera and Dejiana Dargan. Up top, Vanessa Rubalcaba on the right, Ale Gonzalez on the left, and Noelle Palmer, the Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year, front and center. It will be Las Positas kicking off. They will be attacking the goal in front of us here at the DVC player benches. If you're over at the spectator stands, that means they're attacking actually to your right. But as far as I'm seeing it, attacking to my left, DVC will be going at the goal distant from us, and we are underway right now here in Pleasant Hill. Ball in possession of Las Positas, of course, to begin, but immediately reflected by Zoe Raymer. DVC renowned for their quick strike offense in the early minutes of halves. 10 times this season they have scored in the opening 10 minutes of a match. 8 of those times it was in the opening 5 minutes. 5 of those times it was in the opening 2 minutes, including the last 2 matches in a row. They got an early one against American River in their season finale on sophomore day, getting the points that eventually won them the Big 8 crown. And they subsequently did the same against Solano, scoring just about 90 seconds into the match to get their playoffs off to a good start. Carla Ramos turning around a player at the far sideline and feeding Dej Dargan. Back to the left wing now for Ale Gonzalez as DVC surge forward and look for that early goal. Ale comes to a stop, tries to serve it into the center, deflected by an LPC defender, taken away now, though, by Megan Malera. And she'll put it to the left wing for Carla Ramos. Ramos winding up across from the left. This is going to take one hop and come to the chest of Cam Chan. Tried to get turned, and she does put the first shot on goal of today's match, but it is not a particularly hard one taken by Ali Nunes in the gray over black and black goalkeeper kit. DVC, meanwhile, by the way, in the all-green home uniform. Green top, green shorts, green socks, white markings throughout, white DVC emblazoned on the the front of the jersey, and white block numerals on the back and over the left side of the chest. Dej Dargan trying to feed Ramos down the left side, reflected by... Can't quite tell who that is. The numbers are very, very narrow, and she's very, very far away. At any rate, it's a DVC throw-in to come here in just a moment. About a minute and a half gone. Throw-in managed by DVC, touch through a defender to Ale Gonzalez in the center. Going to put this now very much into the middle for Megan Malera. That one's going to get away. Dej Dargan looking to close down the arrival of Ashley Carlton coming up this left wing. Carlton will get there first, but shows too much of it to Dre Weinstein, rather, the number 6, and she'll poke that out. Sorry. Should have known. Dej is fast, but she's not that fast. Ashley Carlton putting this ball over the left wing of the LPC defense, reflected by Cam Chan, controlled now by Megan Malera, looks to find Ale Gonzalez in the center. A little bit of shifty running around the 29, Cailin Silva, a College Park grad, by the way, who went all the way down to Livermore instead of crossing the street for college. Needed to do that, I believe, for a fire fighting or an EMT program of some sort. I may have to ask Katie McLaughlin about that at halftime, because she does know her from their College Park days. LPC on the attack after taking a ball in the midfield. Worked over here to the 21. Need to see who that is. Ball forward looking for Jessica Morales. First touch is very heavy as she enters the 18-yard box, pushes it all the way to the left corner near the byline. Manages to get this back out to the 21. Here comes a cross in to the feet of the 19, Camila Fonseca. Fonseca dribbles through a couple defenders. Fonseca entering the 18. Fonseca fires. And that one right at Katie McLaughlin. Dragged it along the ground. Didn't get a whole lot on it, thank heavens. And so the shot count even through a little under 3 minutes. My apologies, we apparently have a change to the starting lineup because it's Rachel Blakey, the 21, who's up here alongside Fonseca and the 17, Morales, as well as Paolo. We're going to have to take a peek at that. I think it might be Rhiannon Adams. Nope, never mind. She's in the center back position. And perhaps it's Mildred Hill who's actually not starting. My mistake. We'll try and figure this out. Anyway, Vanessa Rubalcaba has taken the ball away. She is whacked to ground amidst a crowd of LPC players. Absorbs the first foul of today's encounter, about, looks like 25 yards away from goal. Pretty much dead center, and a great opportunity here for the Vikings to try to get that early tally. Megan Malera sitting over it as our match official. Mr. Montalvo, Alberto Montalvo, stands nearby. Rubalcaba also there. She could take it with the right. Malera could take it with the left. Very diffuse wall. It's going to be Rubalcaba to take it. This ball sinking just barely over the top of the crossbar from that position. Looked for a moment. Nunes certainly was desperate. There was no way she was getting to that, but of course the reason for that is that it didn't quite actually end up on frame. Second Viking shot here in minute number 4. Rubalcaba just barely high. Ball sprayed down the left wing by Carlton. Slices on her. Can't keep it in play. It'll be a Viking throw in here in just a moment for Dre Weinstein. Going to put that down the right side into the body of Noelle Lemos, and that's a big one to aim for. Noelle settles, now tries to serve it into the 18. That's taken down by Ali Nunes. No harm, no foul there. Available for the Vikings on the bench today, Chloe Lindemann is the main novelty. It's only the second time she's come off the bench this season, started every match of the regular season, but was brought in off the bench in order to get Dej Dargan out into the center of the midfield in this formation for the match against Solano. DVC deciding not to fix what isn't broken, so she'll be coming off the bench today along with a number of other players. They're going to have to wait because Vanessa Rubalcaba is back on the ball. Splits 2 defenders to try to find Cam Chan. Looks like Carlton's going to have that tracked. Is able to push the ball back forward for Las Positas. Blakey dropping the ball back and taken away by the 16. Looked like she had a handful of Malera's jersey. Megan resists anyhow. Drops it into the center for Dej Dargan. Dej accelerating. Now puts that to the feet of Ale Gonzalez, trying to get herself turned either for a shot or for service. Ended up having her plant foot slip out from underneath of her. Ball's cleared away, and Las Positas now possess inside the center circle. It's the 17. Jessica Morales forward for Fonseca. Very much route one looking for Blakey. We'll see if Weinstein can protect that. She does. Out comes Katie McLaughlin, and she claims that in front of the 21 in white. So the rest of those substitutes for DVC, Sabrina de Barteleben also available. She's had a number of starts this season. Erica McDonald, Tasha Stridiron also available, and they are certainly the usual suspects to appear in these games. Maya Himmel still in the concussion protocol and unable to participate in today's game. Additionally, Lula Valdivia, Marlene Huerta, Carly Andrade, Maria Winder, Hannah Lewis, and Alex Rodriguez potentially available for Coach Mullins' Vikings. 6 minutes gone, 0-0 your scoreline. We say that in large part because it's not uncommon for it not to be 0-0 by this point for DVC. Throw-in taken by LPC from the left side, pushed forward now into the left wing of the attack. The right wing of the attack, and Zoe Raymer reflects that out for another throw-in. DVC had managed that for just a moment. For Coach Sapsford, he's got Elena Medellin, who actually scored the first of several equalizers in that crazy match against Sierra. She's available potentially as a midfielder. So is Nicole Seegers, potentially off the bench as a defender. Dej Dargan on it right now. Rachel Blakey and Kaylee Silva both did play in the first-round playoff match. Here's a long ball forward looking for Noelle Lemus. It's a bit too deep for her, covered by the center defender Rhiannon Adams. Pushed forward now by LPC, but only to the chest of Jessica Jaime at the midfield stripe. Now trying to go over the top again for Noelle, but a little bit too long, and the call coming from the bench. Get it to feet. Certainly Noelle Lemus' preference. She's not so much a dump and chase kind of player. Ale Gonzalez could be that. Cam Chan, Carla Ramos, they are certainly dump and chase players. In fact, here goes Malera spraying a ball down the left wing for Carlita. Let's see if she can get to that before it goes out of play. Not quite. Curls just a little bit underneath the old oak tree over there on the far sideline. So additionally available to Coach Sapsford, a number of players who did not participate in the first round match against Sierra 3 days ago. Jennifer Parker, their backup goalkeeper. They've got another defender, Kaylee Johnson. 2 more midfielders, Paulina Gonzalez and Ashley Smith. As the ball's put in towards the top of the 18. Stopped there by Rhiannon Adams and cleared. Dej Dargan holds that in the center circle. They have a ton of backup forwards potentially available, so they might look to try to exhaust the Vikings. I seem to recall them doing something along those lines when these two teams met up on September 1st. They've got Maya Lopez, Raylene Mendieta, Amy Ryan, Brittany Meyer, Blair Bolden, and Brenda Ortiz, although Meyer has been injured for a bit. Here's a ball forward looking for Blakey. I think she was offside, but it's not going to matter. Dre Weinstein meets that first. Cam Chan on it. Forward now for Rubalcaba. Looks to refeed Chan, leaking out the right side, and does. Great little 1-2. Cam thinking about service. Nope, cuts inside the arriving defender. Now thinks service. This ball bouncing near Noelle. Lemus! Goal! Goal, 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 goal! Noelle! Lemus! Minute number 9. Noelle assisted by the beautiful scooped service from Cameron Chan. And for the 11th time this season, in 23 matches, nearly half of their games this year, DVC have a goal in single-digit minutes. Worth noting that Las Positas have only given up a goal in the opening 10 minutes once all year. It was against Cañada College, and it's one of their 2 losses. Now, if DVC want to mimic that kind of performance, they're going to need a couple more rather quickly, because Cañada, as it turned out, was ahead just 15 minutes into the match by a 3-0 count. As I check on my cell phone to verify that I am still live streaming and hope that there is all sorts of celebration going on throughout Viking land. 9 minutes gone. DVC on top of the 8 seed, 1-0. It's a long ball by the LPC goalkeeper, handled at the midfield and touched from just under the arrival of Cam Chan by the 19 Fonseca. Weinstein able to close out Carlton. It's out here at the near sideline. Throw in to come for the red and white. Carlton, a couple of little pump fakes. Now finally does put it in over the top of both Chan and her intended target, Blakey. Weinstein's got that. Jess Jaime clearing, backpedaling is Carlton. She'll meet that with her head, but it's going to go straight out of play for a Viking throw. So DVC yet again with exactly the hope, or the start they would hope for. Noelle Lemus, her 16th goal of this season. I'm going to have to turn to some of my my little documents here to verify how many assists that is on the year for Chan. I want to say 6. Let's find out. Yep, 6. It actually makes Cameron Chan the new team leader in helpers. Vanessa Rubalcaba, meanwhile, unable to quite hold a ball in play over at the near sideline after the throw came in from Dre Weinstein. If you're just joining us, DVC up 1-0 on a Noelle Lemus goal in minute number 9. interplay going between Jessica Morales and Camila Fonseca, not quite able to handle that. Morales, of course, with the billy club on her right hand. Lots and lots of padding on the cast there, the brace that has been put around that. Oh, dear me. Dej Dargan had a ball pasted right against her chest by Fonseca. There's the ball to Rubalcaba. Neat, shifty dribbling to get around one defender. Now tries to serve it into the three-quarter zone. Met there with the chest of Mackenzie Bammer, one of the LPC captains. Tries to thread it forward. Briefly taken away by Ale Gonzalez. Now worked up the right sideline. And I believe it is Bammer again working her way through that area. She's across midfield. She's now all the way into the three-quarter zone. Shows almost too much of it to a defender. Now brings it in forward for Blakey. Blakey fires! Big save, Katie Mack! And that hits the crossbar after her initial deflection. It's still in play. Jessica Jaime able to get to that, and she will clear it after a couple of touches with the head, a borderline seal dribble. But Rachel Blakey forcing an enormous save out of Katie McLaughlin. Even now on shots on goal. Here's a ball forward by Noelle Lemos looking for Vanessa Rubalcaba as they try to turn defense into offense. Rubalcaba still on it, battling back and forth with the defender. Now floats this into the center of the top of the box. Malera able to hold on to it. Ale Gonzalez fires. That ball falling and touched away by Nunes. Still in play. Still alive on the right side of the box. Rubalcaba, hard cross, just a little high for Noelle to get to. Still alive. Comes to Carla Ramos. Serves it right back in. Knocked down by Megan Malera and now finally decisively cleared by someone from LPC. The ball here in this remains in this half. Dej Dargan on it, looking to serve another ball in and create panic. Flicked on by Rubalcaba. Here comes Cam Chan, but Ali Nunes is going to beat her to it. My goodness. What an opening 13 minutes so far. DVC with 4 shots, 3 on goal, one of them in the back of the net already. 2 shots and both of them on frame. One of them quite literally on frame after the McLaughlin save. Just a few moments ago, Cam Chan spinning herself unfortunately into the ground, a little off balance trying to manage a ball in front of the LPC midfielder. Sprayed over to the right wing, Mackenzie Bammer. The neon green headband and long ponytail working her way up the right sideline. She's got cavalry with her. Floats it wide to the right now for a teammate. This ball served in towards the head of Jessica Morales. She gets that to Blakey. Blakey trying to handle it in front of Cam Chan, and Zoe Raymer returns to clear. No shot taken. Malera brings the ball forward, and a nice sliding challenge by Ale Gonzalez to get that all the way to the center circle, but it's end-to-end stuff right now. LPC back in control. Ashley Carlton dribbling from the left toward the center, now into retro, as Dej Dargan and Megan Malera try to swallow her up in the center of the midfield. They do good work. Ball's taken away. Carla Ramos immediately back forward, a bit too long for Rubalcaba. Touched away by the Hawk defenders, but Cam Chan will get it. Forward now for Vanessa Rubalcaba. Dribbling around one defender, now sliding it into the center, finds Dej Dargan with all manner of space. Forward for Ale Gonzalez. Ale dribbles through 2 defenders, leaves 2 of them on the deck, but ends up having to run in retro to retrieve the ball, and all is basically as it was. Now floats the ball over the top, looking for Noelle Lemos, just barely too high for her. And Ali Nunes comes out to claim. DVC about to operate their first substitution in just a moment. Chloe Lindemann ready over here at the near sideline. Jess Jaime controls the ball here, a long drive from Ali Nunes, actually hit it off the head of the 12, Mackenzie Paolo. Here's her ball in, popped up with the head of a defender. Rubalcaba trying to settle it, leaves it there. Malera fires, and would have had an opportunity to get it on goal. Here she'll try again. That one's going to drift a little bit wide. That time it was Rubalcaba. Malera, we could see, actually had a good aim to beat Nunes, but it was blocked by an LPC defender. Rubalcaba's shot appeared to take a deflection. That's going to make it today's first corner kick. 6 DVC shots, 5 of them on frame in the opening quarter of an hour. We're not actually even done that first quarter of an hour. Corner kick taken short from the right. Ramos receives it from Malera, puts a ball in. That's going to be reflected right back out for another corner. Keep trying to cap my marker. I may as well just give up on that. So Ramos will take this. Malera still lurking. Maybe thinking about the short one again. Malera has kind of turned her back. Now faces Ramos. We'll see what they're going to do. Left-footed service. Here's the in-swinger. This is delivery right into the 6. Meeting the head of Lemos. Still alive right there. Cleared off the line. Raymer! Blocked at the last possible moment. Zoe looked for all the world from here like she had the whole goal to shoot at. But that was only with respect to Ali Nunes. Got a good contact to it. Now immediately served back over the right side for Chan. One touches it into the midfield for Rubalcaba. Tries to put that back over the top for Chan. Chests it down. Hits the deck under the challenge of a defender. Long ball met with the head of Dre Weinstein, who gets up over the 21 Blakey to recover that. Sliding challenge by Rubalcaba. Not quite able to keep the ball in play. And so we've mentioned here, DVC certainly the quick strike type. Las Positas have as we said, lost the only other game in which they've conceded a goal this early, but they've certainly shown an ability to come from the dead in many cases. The Vikings want another goal. Rubalcaba, great ball to the top of the center, half circle rather, for Gonzalez. Cleared away from under her feet. The clearance only as far as Vane. She's going to take a drive from distance, and that's going to go over the top. 8-2 the shot count. 6-2 in shots on goal, both in favor of DVC. We've seen one foul committed by LPC, 2 corner kicks. Both have gone the way of the Vikings. And, of course, the only thing that really matters here, minute number 16, 1-0 the scoreline. Gonzalez coming out, Chloe Lindemann coming in. Looks like DVC may end their reliance for the time being on the red formation. Amy Ryan also preparing to enter for Paul Sapsford's Hawks. As Ali Nunes in gray takes this. I don't know if I mentioned, Katie McLaughlin is the woman in black today. And she backpedals right now as Camila Fonseca comes ripping through the midfield, tries to serve Jessica Morales on the left. She's gotten behind Raymer from the top of the 18, fires, but that is on one hop into Katie McLaughlin. And it's worth saying that her stride actually looks a little bit weird right now with that gigantic mallet on her right arm. Seems like it's actually messing with her speed and her coordination. Here's a ball over the left wing for Ramos. Can she get there before it goes out the back? She can. She dribbles it off of Rita Santoyo and earns DVC their 3rd corner kick. Vikings, for the most part, controlling this affair, although it is again worth mentioning that Las Positas have been kind of the code word all season for don't let up. In their 3rd match of the season, these two teams met. It was Las Positas' season opener. The Vikings got up 2-0 in the 55th minute. Everything looked to be going the way of the Vikings. 6 minutes later, it was 2-2. So the corner kick this time will be coming from the left side. Rubalcaba over it. It's a one-woman wall as they look to guard against Megan Malera receiving it. That's Mackenzie Paolo and Kaylee Silva over there. Rubalcaba will deliver it directly into the 6. This ball falling and headed from just in front of Zoe Raymer. Ashley Carlton drifting out the left side of the 18-yard box to control it. And Chloe Lindemann looks to bottle her up. DVC, it appears, probably back into their 4-4-3. I'll try and give you an update of what the exact formation is in just a moment. This ball forward intercepted by Dej Dargan. Rolled forward to Megan Malera. And so, in fact, yes, it is the 4-3-3 that they have played most of this season, this red formation, a way that they try to get goals quickly. And looks like they might get something here as Noelle Lemus chests the ball down. Now dribbling on Rita Santoyo, trying to find space at the top of the 18 for a shot. Fires! It's going to drift just wide of the right upright. But it looks like yet another deflection on that one, and so it's going to be another DVC corner. They've had 4 of those in the opening 18 minutes. They've been very good at scoring from these set pieces. In fact, they got their opener in that Las Positas encounter with one of these. They got 2 against West Valley this way. They got 1 against San Joaquin Delta that way. Everybody's had a moment to get an assist off of one of these. This time it's Carla Ramos from the right side. This ball drifting towards the near post, knocked down by an LPC defender. It's going to come all the way back to Carla. She puts in a hard cross, knocked up in the air by Kaylee Silva. That is going to go out for another corner, this one on the left. The longer we live down at this end of the field, the better we generally feel about the Vikings' prospects in this match. As we said in the open, though, Las Positas with 3 wins, 2 draws in the 7 matches in which they have trailed. DVC have trailed just once this season, and they lost that match. Ball dropped into the midfield for Jaime by Vanessa Rubalcaba. They take this a little bit longer than usual. Jaime winds up a shot. That takes a deflection, and that is going to be corner kick number 6. And Amy Ryan adjusting some things under her jersey right now. I think she's just bored. It's been waiting over there for a good 2 minutes to come into today's match. Again, if you're just joining us, 19 minutes into this match, 10 minutes ago, Noelle Lemus gave the Vikings the lead off a Cam Chan assist, her 16th goal of the season. It is going to be, I believe, Rubalcaba, although she's very, very far away from me, from the left side. Yeah, that's definitely Vane. Here's her ball drifting into the 18. That is going to get past Nunes. It's going to be cleared away. Dre Weinstein serving it in from the left and knocked down by Ali Nunes at her far post. Whew. Certainly had the aim, just not quite enough power to beat the goalkeeper from about 25, maybe even 30 yards. Long drive from Nunes met in the midfield, headed backwards by the 18. It's Mackenzie Bammer, recovered now again by Carla Ramos as DVC try to keep the Hawks penned in down at this end. And so that has been the case. We've seen Mildred Heel has not played just yet. I don't know if the endless conversations have yielded some concern from Coach Sapsford that he doesn't want to risk losing the the match by way of a forfeit just because of fielding somebody who might later be determined to be ineligible. As we mentioned, she was given a red card in minute number 37 of the match against Sierra. It wasn't enough to stop them from winning that match. They were down 1-0 at the time. They managed to put in 4 goals, 3 of them in a 20-minute span right at the end of the match, in order to win that game against the Wolverines in the first round. Here's our first substitution for the Hawks. Amy Ryan, at long last, gets to enter the match. Comes in place of Mackenzie Paolo. For the Vikings right now, Weinstein, Raymer, Dargan, and Jaime across the defense. Lindemann, Ruvalcaba, and Malera the midfield. And then it's Chan and Ramos bracketing Noelle Lemus up top. So with that one switch, Gonzalez out and Lindemann in, DVC back into what has been their starting lineup for most of this season, actually. Ball sprayed forward by Las Positas coming out of the throw-in over in the defensive zone on the right side. Knocked down by Rachel Blakey, not able to serve a teammate, though, as she tried to spring out on the right side for an attack. LPC take a ball away right now from Carla Ramos over on the far sideline. Ball forward, though, knocked down by Jessica Jaime. Ramos on it for just a moment. Now forward and taken away from Ruvalcaba. This one sprayed out to the left side, and Ashley Carlton, overlapping from the left-back position, has a chance to try to run at Dre Weinstein. Battle of number 6s. Carlton still on it. Carlton working over on the left flank, getting near the corner flag, trying to earn the byline. Good work by Dre Weinstein. Holds the ball in play, in fact. Now Carlton wins it back, puts it into the center. Trying to knock it down was Morales. And Vane Ruvalcaba is going to pop that one way up in the air. Megan Malera prolongs it with a head. We're now about 40 yards away from goal. Recovered by Kaylee Silva, working against Lemus. Puts it over to the right side for Amy Ryan. Tries to touch that through the arrival of Jess Jaime. Attempts a cross from the right side, and it's blocked by younger one. The legacy player, and the second attempt of it is blocked by Dej Dargan, and she'll come forward with it now on the left flank. Dropping this over the shoulder of Noelle Lemus, looking to run onto it in front of Rita Santoyo. It looks like the right back for LPC, or excuse me, the right center back is going to beat her to it. Cleared by Nunes. Ball forward is reflected by the Vikings. Carla Ramos trying to win that over at the far sideline against Mackenzie Bammer, and she does. Drop back now to Jaime, and she'll look to change the point of attack over to Chloe Lindemann with a little more space. Her first touch a bit heavy. Comes towards the number 16 in the center, Yadi Torres. As the two of them battle for it, last touched by Torres. It goes flying out over near that oak tree. Another throw-in for DVC. So Las Positas celebrating their first win in quite some time in the postseason. They, at least for the records that are kept by CC Soccer News, they hadn't gotten a postseason win since at least 2004. In fact, in that time, they'd only made the postseason 4 times. They'd only been a non-double-digit seed one other time in 2010, and they fell in that one to Sierra on PKs after a 0-0 result. Here's the ball forward looking for Noelle Lemus. She fires from the left side of the box. And another deflection again as it goes into the side netting. This is getting ridiculous. That's going to be DVC's 7th corner kick. We're only 23 and a half minutes into this. The Vikings more or less just living down at this end of the pitch. They need to get another one. We mentioned those 3 victories and 2 draws that LPC have in games where they've managed to, or where they've trailed at some point, but in none of those did they ever trail by multiple goals. Here's the ball in. Ali Nunes catches that on top of her downed defender, Rhiannon Adams, and just in front of the arrival, I believe, of Dre Weinstein or perhaps Cam Chan. Can't quite tell who that is from this distance. No, it's definitely Chan because Weinstein's right up here by me. Long drive met comfortably with the head of Jess Jaime. She reflects the first attempt of Las Positas to get the ball out. Now puts it into the middle for Lindemann. She'll drop that back to Raymer with a little more time. Here comes the pressure from the Las Positas front line. Jessica Morales not able to break it down, though. Finds Rubalcaba with some space. Now forward for Lindemann in the center circle. Back to Dargan. DVC look to possess. Back to Jaime. Now back to Dargan. Looped over the left wing, trying to find Ramos and spring her for a run down that flank. No dice this time, though. It's out. So your current statistical summary, 12-3 the shot count. 8-3 the shots on goal count, both in favor of DVC. 7-0 the corner kick count. And LPCs have still committed the only foul of today's encounter so far through almost 25 minutes. If the Vikings can make this dominance concrete with one more tally before halftime, they'll feel pretty good about working their way towards a first ever regional final, which would be on Saturday against the winner of Delta versus Fresno. Jess Jaime getting ready to put in another throw in for the Vikes. Touched away from a defender by Vanessa Rubalcaba. She tries to accelerate, taken away now by Yadi Torres in the center, and she tries to drop that back. Showed a lot of it to Vanessa, and her pressure is at least going to liberate it for Chloe Lindemann. Drop back for Carla. Here's a ball into the 18. Trying to get there is Cam Chan. Took one big hop just barely over her head. Ali Noon's out to claim it. So we were saying, never have Las Positas managed to come back from multiple goals and get a result. They have managed to equalize from down multiple goals. We know that because it happened against us. Vikings looking to get that multiple goal lead, though. Here's Carla Ramos trying to thread a ball in, blocked at point-blank range. Malera comes back to it. Carla will let Megan have it. She fires, and that is blocked as well. Back to Carla. She's going to turn and take a rip, and that is going to go well over the goal. One bounce, and it's into the baseball fence that is behind Ali Noon's goal. 13th DVC shot, and the Vikings are going to make another substitution. Standing over here by today's fourth official, Scott Hamilton, is the 15, Erica McDonald. She'll come in for Cam Chan, and it looks like Ramos is going to switch sides. McDonald, a naturally left-footed player. Carla, a little bit more versatile, a little more ambidextrous. And so your forward line now, Ramos, Lemos, and McDonald from right to left as Nunes gets ready to uncork this goal kick. Again, if you are just joining us here on Viking Soccer Live, as I check once more to verify the stream is still running, and it is, hooray. Vikings leading 1-0 on a Noelle Lemos goal in minute number 9. Cam Chan with her team-leading 6th assist of the season, Noelle Lemos with her team-leading 16th goal of the season. She actually finished 3rd in the running for the Golden Boot this season, behind Jamie Becerra and Amanda Galbraith. 12 of her 13 regular season goals scored inside the conference. Of course, that was naturally going to be the case. She hardly played in the non-conference schedule. We were waiting to get her to be available. Here's a ball taken by Malera after a faulty clearance. Tries to drop that off for the arrival of Rubalcaba. No dice. Now slides it down the left wing for the newly inserted McDonald. McDonald putting in a deep cross towards the far post. That's drifting Nunes. Has to dribble that like a basketball on her first touch and settles it. Had Carla Ramos lurking over at the far post. If she hadn't made a decisive clearance there, would have had a real opportunity at that. Vanessa Rubalcaba stealing a ball away from Ashley Carlton, spinning to her left. Now firing from distance! Off the crossbar now, Lemos! Goal! Noelle Lemos! Vane Rubalcaba with the thunderbolt hitting the underside of the crossbar, bounced straight down, came out, and Lemos, unmarked, comes up the gut, and from about the penalty dot, fires that into the back of the net. DVC make it 2-0 in minute number 28. And now you hear the keep working. This is, of course, the situation the Vikings were in, albeit not in the 28th minute. It took till the 55th back in Livermore for them to get these. But we said at the outset that the big difference between the first matchup and this matchup was the presence of Noelle Lemos. She was not yet a Viking at that time. Or she was, but she hadn't suited up yet. She was still finishing up, taking care of eligibility, getting her feet under her. She didn't actually start until a game or two into the conference schedule this season. Needed to get her conditioning up as Erica McDonald absorbs today's second foul. The Vikings taking care of business, and an increasingly large crowd over at the far sideline gathering to watch this. We've got some folks up in the softball stands as well, but it looks like something on the order of 60 or 70 spectators watching over there, as well as a number of other athletes, former Vikings greats here in soccer, other athletes from around the campus hanging out just behind the player bench. Cam Chan tosses this ball into the feet of Noelle Lemos. That's not Lemos. That can't be her. Nice bit of dribbling, though, from... No, that was Lemos, and here's Lindemann spraying a ball to the right side, and Carla Ramos can't quite knock that down with the foot. I almost said Cam Chan. That's usually where Cam's roaming. Carla, of course, with the lion's mane of hair flying out behind her, very hard to miss. Little under a half hour gone in today's encounter. Vikings up 2-0. Lemos in the 9th, Lemos in the 28th. She's got 17 goals now on the season. Long ball driven towards the right side of the defensive third for Las Positas. Taken away by Lemos. Now tries to push this down the left wing for McDonald to get onto it. Can't quite get there before it goes over the end line, and it'll be a goal kick. And so, as we said, a code word really all season about working once you're up 2-0 has been, remember Las Positas. Do not let what happened in that match happen to us ever again. We were just talking about LPC celebrating their first win in the postseason in over a decade. It looks like those celebrations could potentially be short-lived. Here's a hospital ball rolled in by Yadi Torres, intercepted by Carla Ramos. Tries to dribble through Torres. Carlton able to handle it after Ramos got by the initial midfielder. This ball forward looking for Blakey, intercepted first though by Dre Weinstein and put out the near sideline for a throw-in. Carlton will take that from the midfield stripe, left side of the LPC attack. Right to the body of Carlita. Dribbles that through the arrival of Carlton, and sliding challenge by Rhiannon Adams is going to take that away from Lemos, but it's only as far as Vanessa Rubalcaba. She's at the midfield stripe now on the dribble, trying to beat Jessica Morales, who has now had to retreat way back into her defensive third to deal with the threat that is Vane. Here's a ball forward looking for Noelle. Lemos, cleared by Adams. Met with the head of an LPC player, and now taken by Amy Ryan in the center circle. Does nicely to spin around Zoe Raymer, but Raymer able to regain position. Now starts pushing her back. Ryan forced into retro and all the way out to the right wing. Now drops that back for the right backs, Rita Santoyo. Approaching for some pressure was McDonald. Dropped forward now for Ryan again, and taken away by the pressure of McDonald for just a moment. Stays, though, on the foot of Ryan for the time being. Forward to no one in particular, and Chloe Lindemann reclaims. Dargan on it. Dage will drive this one deep, and we'll see if Lemos can get to this one in front of the arrivals of Santoyo and Kaylee Silva, who is now back, it appears, in the defense. Two of them body up. No foul committed here. Silva able to keep the ball in play. Drops it back to Santoyo near her own corner flag. And played up the right wing. Popped up in the air here by Ryan. Forward now for Jessica Morales, who, boy, you know, when the numbers are narrow and tough to see from a distance, it's remarkable what a help it is for somebody to have a mallet on their arm to figure out who's who. Otherwise, she and Fonseca would look very similar from a distance. Ball put into the left wing by DVC, looking for Erica McDonald. Cut off there by Bammer and out for another throw-in. 13 minutes to go in half number 1. Vikings up 2-0. Lemos in the 9th, Lemos in the 28th. So we mentioned in the open that this Las Positas team is one of the higher scoring teams in the entire state. 4th in the state, 2nd in Northern California. But against teams over 500, this is the same sort of split we saw with Solano, who had 90-plus goals in the season, but had only scored 18 of them against teams that had a winning record on the year. We'll talk about this in just a second, because here's a nice ball out of the midfield by Fonseca looking for Carlton. Holds the ball in play about 5 yards from the corner flag. Rolls this now to the left part of the box for Blakey. Up steps Ramos to try to cut off the arrival of the 16. Here's the ball into the 18, and that's going to go right to Katie Mack. Yadi Torres trying to invite Jessica Morales to run right at the penalty dot, but McLaughlin there first. Ball played into the center, right at Torres. DVC will look to defend here. Torres trying to find Carlton again, blocked by Rubalcaba. That's going to stay in a nice position for her. The deflection from the 3 Rhiannon Adams, though, is going to keep Vane from getting off to a run. Adams and Carlton do well to protect under the threatening run of Ramos. Ball forward, though, reflected by Weinstein, settled by Rubalcaba, and it's now back on the foot of Ramos. Into the center circle, right at the front of it for Megan Malera. Running a little bit on a diagonal, and now lofting a ball over to the right wing for Noelle Lemos to run on to. That's got a lot of spice on it. Lemos able to get there and keep it in play. Also able to reestablish position on the defender. Now running diagonally over to the left. Here comes her cross. It's at the near post, and it's right at Ali Nunes, rather. Too many alleys for goalkeepers. Miller is the one over at Santa Rosa. The Bear Cubs, by the way, we didn't have that result at the end of our last podcast, but they are 3-2 winners over Cañada last week. Ended up needing extra time to do it. They were up 2-0 at halftime, level 2-2 after 90 minutes, and it was the 104th minute of that match that Priscilla Villalobos, for the 3rd time in the last 2 weeks, picked up a late game-winning goal. So they are in action today against City College of San Francisco. Ball taken away from Rubalcaba in the midfield. Yadi Torres trying to put a ball down the left wing for the arrival of Blakey. She's going to be working on Dre Weinstein. Dre able to keep her from sliding down the line. Now forced to dribble in retro. Blocks her attempted ball forward, and there's nobody in that space where it deflects into except for a bunch of Vikings. Carla Ramos into the center circle. Now spraying it forward, a little bit too hot for Noelle Lemos to get a foot up and do anything with. That'll roll all the way to Ali Nunes in the back. Cam Chan getting ready to re-enter for the Vikings with about 11 minutes to go in our first period. Ball poked forward towards the right side for Jessica Morales. Las Positas trying to attack now. They're at the right top corner of the box. Ball forward, or ball into the center rather, for Ryan is reflected nicely by Dargan. Settled by Malera. Sprays it to the right side for Rubalcaba with a little bit of space. That space getting closed up pretty quickly by Torres, though. She'll get it off of her boot and put it to the right now for Ramos. Ramos looking to run at Carlton. Thinks about cutting it to the center. Now bodies up the number 6 in white. Drop back to Rubalcaba. Another nice touch by Yadi Torres to take another ball away. The two of them battling for it. And
Looks like the referee would have called a foul, except that, Torres and Rubalcaba now they're coming together. The ball forward, though, for Jessica Morales. Entering the 18 from the left side. Bodied up with Dej Dargan. She'll drop it back to the left now for Blakey. Here comes the ball in, headed away by Zoe Raymer. That's going to come straight to the number 16, Yari Torres. DVC not able to possess, but Carla Ramos coming back from her attacking position to hassle Torres. Drop back to Carlton, now over the top looking for Ryan. She's bothered there by the 14 for DVC, Jessica Jaime. Her ball forward knocked down beautifully with the toe of Dej Dargan. Working a 1-2 with Noelle Lemus, now out to the right side for Carla Ramos with a little under 10 minutes to play. Ball at the center stripe, rolled into the middle for Chloe Lindemann. Almost showed too much of that to Silva. Able to poke it, though, in the direction of Malera. Lofted to the left side now for McDonald. She's got a chance to run at a defender. Beats Bammer. Entering the 18. Emac! Save! Ball still alive! Here comes Malera! Goal line clearance by LPC. And Lindemann's going to try to conjure up her late goal from 3 days ago, but that's going to take one big hop after going over the crossbar and end up on the baseball field. 16 DVC shots, 10 of them on frame. 3-3 still the count for Las Positas. They have been unable to respond to the two early Viking tallies. The Vikings are about 9 minutes away from conducting this safely to halftime with a 2-0 advantage. A raft of substitutions for the Vikings as they try to get some fresh legs out there. Ramos, Lemus, and Rubalcaba all running a ton. Entering for DVC, Cam Chan, Ale Gonzalez, both of those re-entries. Natasha Stridiron as well into the match in the midfield. Cam Chan poking a ball away from the arrival of a defender, and Ale Gonzalez put to ground as she tried to recover that a little bit to the right side of the three-quarter zone. Third foul, all of them whistled so far against Las Positas. Rubalcaba had committed a foul earlier, but referee played advantage as the ball was put forward for Ryan. Malera will take this from the right side, about 25 to 30 yards from goal. Two in the wall. Here's the ball lofted in. Good-looking service, met with a head and reflected out in the direction of Malera. Can she beat Carlton to it? She won't have to. It's going to go out first before either of them can possess. Throw in for the Vikes. 8 minutes to go. The number 15, Lacey Smith, yet another forward on Coach Sapsford's roster, getting ready to enter for LPC. Weinstein, long run-up for the long throw, met with the head of Gonzalez after it was touched by Rhiannon Adams. Clearance is only as far as Chloe Lindemann, who with the head serves it to the right side for Dre Weinstein. Tries to poke that into the right wing for Cam Chan. A little bit too long, though. Cleared by LPC. Good work by Carlton. Met with the head of Fonseca. Now again by Lindemann. Chested down by Malera. Captain Armband on the right. Works her way over to the right side. Manages to get around Blakey. Now also trying to get around Carlton. Crosses it. Looks like that deflects off of Carlton and doesn't stay in play, but it doesn't go over the end line either. It's going to be a throw-in from a very, very deep position. Looks like Cam Chan is going to take that so that Weinstein can stay back and guard against the potential spring of a counterattack. The ball tossed in, headed away by LPC, and here comes Yari Torres. Whole lot of Kinesio tape on her. Easy to identify on the field. Forward for Ryan, and now she looks to change the point of attack over to the right side. Here's Erica McDonald, though. She's going to beat the 16 Torres to that. I'm sorry, it was Fonseca coming up, not Torres, with the Kinesio tape. Dargan over at the far sideline, possessing for the Vikes. And up steps Amy Ryan, nearly takes that away, and as voted by her teammates, the strongest player on the DVC team, Dejiana Dargan, able to avoid that hassle and get the ball to Zoe Raymer. Forward to the player with the best soccer smarts on the team, as decided by her teammates. Megan Malera drops it back to Weinstein. Forward for Gonzalez. Her back to goal ends up on the deck in a battle of number threes. No foul given against Rhiannon Adams. Camila Fonseca able to avoid the arrival of Chloe Lindemann. Now tries to roll a ball route one into the three-quarter zone for Morales. Splits two defenders and finds Blakey on the left part of the 18-yard box. Dre Weinstein hassling her, pokes the ball away. Jessica Morales will hold that there, but here comes Cam Chan to get under her feet. Poked out and actually bounced it off of the LPC player. It's going to be a throw-in for the Vikes. 6 minutes to go in half number one. Again, if you're just joining us, Noelle Lemus, a pair of goals in the opening half hour. DVC conducting this affair to halftime at the moment with a 2-0 lead. Throw-in is taken by Weinstein. Left now for Ale Gonzalez. Faked herself out trying to dribble around Amy Ryan, and Ryan ends up with the ball, now hassling her like crazy. DVC try a triple team with Malera and Chan. She'll drop it back instead to Morales. Forward by Carlton, just through Blakey, and Dre Weinstein able to manage the progress of the left wing. Ball forward now again looking for either Fonseca or Ryan. Great work by Cam Chan to keep that away from the attempt to play it forward by Torres. Into the center circle for Stridiron, trying to guard against the arrival of Kaylee Silva. Finds Jess Jaime with all sorts of space. Jessica working over on the left side. Tries to roll this into space for McDonald. One touch into the 18-yard box on the left wing for Gonzalez. She's not going to be able to stay on her feet, though, as she tries to get around the defender. Clearance, though, only as far as Jess Jaime. She looks to take a drive. It actually bounces off of her after the initial clearance. Finds Malera instead at the top of the 18. Megan rolling this over to the right now for Cam Chan. Chan, who had a goal from Malera in the first LPC matchup, trying to be fed by Stridiron, but that ball's just a little bit too hard. Claimed by Allie Nunes. 16 to 3 your shot count, 10 to 3 your shots on goal count in favor of the Vikings, and they lead 2-0 right now. Chloe Lindemann working on the 19. Oh, nice ball forward here by Fonseca. Finds Amy Ryan, fires, and that's going to whistle just high of Katie Mack's net. The first shot that has not been on target for Las Positas today. High by maybe a foot and a half. Good opportunity over there from the right. It was actually Amy Ryan, if I remember correctly, who kind of reopened the encounter as Lacey Smith enters for the 21, Rachel Blakey. She wasn't the scorer on the first goal, but was the one who put in a cross from nearly that same position. Was met by the head of Jessica Morales as she crashed into Katie McLaughlin. No foul was given. Initially, it looked like the referee was going to disallow the goal for the apparent contact with DVC's goalkeeper, and instead, after talking with Katie Mack for about a minute and a half, gave the goal. 3 minutes later, Las Positas actually had leveled the encounter at 2s. Probably while Katie was still trying to get her wits back about her. The ball's out over at the far sideline near the spectator benches. Throw in to come here for Las Positas, reflected by Jaime and McDonald. Out for another throw. So it does appear Stridiron right now actually playing in the center forward position for the time being. Very versatile player. There was a lot of talk early in the season about playing her there. She actually got a start, I believe, in that position. Here's a ball over to the right side. Amy Ryan able to hold that. Gets around the first line of defense. Her cross, though, reflected out by Chloe Lindemann out towards the auxiliary goals. 3 minutes exactly to go here in half number 1. Here comes the toss. Knocked down by Camila Fonseca. Cleared away again by DVC, and yet another throw in to come here in just a moment. Las Positas earning about 15 yards. Whistles coming from the stands, confusing your erstwhile commentator over here. The ball cleared away by Jessica Jaime, and out comes Ale Gonzalez to try to get a DVC counterattack going. Malera, McDonald, and Chan all spraying out over on the wings, and Malera up the gut. Chan able to manage the ball forward. Drops that back. Here comes Malera. She'll get there just before the arrival of Carlton. Weinstein trying to push it forward for Megan. Carlton, though, able to intercept. Lofts the ball down the right side. Zoe Raymer gets there first, splits 2 defenders, and gets it to Megan Malera. The scoreboard clock about to stop with 2 minutes to go. 2:12 right now exactly as the ball's lofted down the right side. That's going to stay in play, and LPC will be forced to play it. Brought forward, Megan Malera on one touch, lofts the ball towards the top of the 18-yard box, popped up by Mackenzie Bammer. Managed for a moment with the thigh of Kaylee Silva, but not an effective clearance. Here comes the ball in from Erica McDonald. It's going to come all the way to the right side of the box for Ale. Fire, still alive. Goal! Goal! Ale Gonzalez on the rebound. The ball put in, trying to find Cam Chan. She got stonewalled by the keeper, and Gonzalez on the rebound punched that thing in with the kind of fury you expect of somebody who hasn't scored since September. 3-0 DVC. Ale, her second goal of the season on that rebound in minute number 43. Alex Lobbin imploring his charges to give them just another 120 seconds of high pressure to get this to halftime, still without a Hawk goal on the board. 3-0. Lemos, and Ale Gonzalez. The Vikings are dreaming right now. Ashley Carlton working her way through the center circle. Tasha Stridiron steps up to try to intercept, rolled over to the right, and played away from her by Erica McDonald. That'll be dropped back to Jessica Jaime. Headed forward as she tries to push the ball into the attack. And Jaime gets to the attempted clearance by LPC, lofts it down the right wing for Ale Gonzalez. Popped up in the air with the head of Tasha Stridiron as the final few moments of half number 1 tick off the clock. Look for a referee to put a whistle to his mouth or to take a look at his watch. Gonzalez going in on a slide to try to recover a ball over at the wing. And a foul committed by Gonzalez. The call from the bench is Ale, walk away. Don't do anything silly. Don't get yourself in trouble. Ale red carded once this season. Actually is the leader, I believe, as well for the Vikings in yellows. She and Chloe Lindemann with 2 apiece. She was sent off against Casumnas River after a team really worked very hard to provoke her. As the ball's brought forward, that is another whistle. I thought that was going to be the double. That's actually another foul. The foul count nearly even as DVC have committed 2 inside the last few moments. Free kick to come here for Las Positas from the right wing. Or the right side, I should say, of the three-quarter zone. We're about 35 yards from goal. And then more like 30 as they roll it forward. Referee directing the 2-woman wall composed of Lindemann and McDonald to retreat a little bit. So it looks like about 28 yards as Lindemann and McDonald are right at the edge of the box. Here's the ball floated into the 18, met with the head of Jessica Jaime to reflect that. Megan Malera on it. She'll clear it deep over here on the sideline. Throw in to come here for Las Positas, but they're going to have to run a little bit to chase, or they're going to come over here and grab one of the other game balls. The referee wants it taken from the proper spot. I think Ashley Carlton was trying to get there as fast as she could. Throw in to come in a moment here from Carlton on the left side. It's going to be popped up by Yadi Torres, and that will do it. Mr. Montalvo bringing our first half to a close.
Welcome back to the year 2020. DVC with a commanding 3-0 lead at the break on a brace from Noelle Palmer and a late goal from Ale Gonzalez that, I don't know if you could tell, made me pretty sure we were moving on to the next round. For halftime, we're joined by the goal scorers. Noelle, Ale, thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
It's good to have you. It's been a few years since you each suited up in green and white. What has life held for each of you in your time since DVC, and how are you staying sane with everything that's going on these days?
So I transferred to Cal State Monterey Bay, and I graduate this year. So I have been taking classes online, just like everybody, I'm sure, because of coronavirus. And I work in San Francisco as well and have an internship. So I've been kind of busy, so I haven't gone crazy, I guess.
For me, I got married. I was one of the assistant coaches for the DVC team afterwards. I currently work for DVC, as well as I'm a youth soccer coach in Benicia, where I live. So I've been pretty busy during this whole time. Luckily, I get to work from home. Soccer with the young kids, it just started back up, so it's been nice being able to get outside with them in our bubbles.
I was going to ask, how does that work right now in social distancing terms? How do you hold a soccer practice?
So my kids are in a 10x10 box. Each kid has their own box. It's mapped out for them. They have to bring their own ball, and they also bring a few cones with them, and they match whatever I have inside of my grid. And they have to do individual skills. So we do a lot of dribbling, a lot of ball control and juggling, but they're not allowed to pass the ball yet or do things like that. Solano County's been pretty strict, so they can't share anything. So just a lot of individual things, but it's really nice for the kids to get out. They get to talk. I get to see people, so it's been fun.
Awesome. I would imagine maybe that's going to result in a whole generation of kids, or at least a couple of years worth now, that are just way more technically skilled than anybody else, because that's all they've had the chance to work on for like a year.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So what, if anything, do either of you remember about this match with Las Positas? I know for me it was the first game where it truly entered in my mind that the season could end today. I didn't really think that in the 1-16 against Solano, especially given how tight the game in Livermore had been a couple months prior. What sticks in your mind about this one?
For me, it was, this game just felt like, I think it was because it's a game that we weren't 100% sure, it would go in our favor, but the energies were super high, and so we were just go, go, go the entire game. And I just, for me, remember just constantly being at the back post. Wherever I can, I was getting in for the possibility of something coming through. And as you can see so far, 2 goals came, just following a ball into the goal. So, but it was very fast-paced game.
I remember everybody was tuned in like every second of that game. There was like, even from the bench, like the coaches, the whole energy, everybody's energy was super good. And I mean, we got a good result. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and of course you had that third tally right before the break, and I've told people I'm not sure I've ever had a goal call that sounded like that. Did you all have the same sense I did, that like, okay, we were kind of scared to death up 2-0 against Las Positas, but now we got that third, we're gonna be all right? Was I the only one feeling that way?
No, it definitely felt really good to get a third goal before half, because you're right, like when you're up 2-0, that's always a good position to be in, because you kind of get a little bit too confident, and then after half, your energy could come in a little bit different than the first half. So yeah, 3 felt really good before half.
Yeah, there's a reason in soccer 2-0 is the worst score to have, the most dangerous score to have, because 1 goal and the team's back in it. So that third goal is just a good weight off. It gives us a cushion if we come off a little slow in the beginning of the second half before we get going. So that was like a good relief.
For sure, and having already had that experience of Las Positas resurrecting themselves, and I don't know if the two of you were aware of what they'd done in their first round game. They were down 1-0 and down a woman by halftime, and then put up 4 in the second half. And just they were a wild team. Like, you ever watch a horror movie and the hand shoots up out of the ground? That's how I felt about LPC. So, yeah, that third goal, I was like, okay, we're gonna be all right. Now, there was a question I used to ask in the sophomore interviews. I think I got to ask Ale, but I never got to ask Noelle. But it was basically to this effect: what do you think would be the first thing you remember about your experience playing at DVC, say 5 years from now? And we're not quite at 5 years, but we're close. And so I just want to take the opportunity to ask each of you, when you hear the word Vikings, what's the first thing that jumps to mind, be it a feeling or a specific moment? What defines it?
For me, excitement. It was really exciting time. Well, because when I came to DVC, I had stopped playing for, it might have been 5 years since I had played collegiately, because I'm older than everyone else. So, coming in, it was a new experience, and it was fun, and I just really went at it like that. And so that 2016 season for me especially was just so exciting. Each game was better than the next. The team itself was just so fun to be around, and we're so competitive, which made it even more fun. So yeah, for me, excitement is the biggest one. And like the specific memory I always have is when we won the game at the very end. I scored a goal, and like everyone ran onto the field, and it was one of our playoff games, I believe. So, and it was just the best feeling ever to know that, we did it as a team. And yeah.
Yeah, that would be the Delta game coming up next week on Viking Soccer Rewind.
My favorite memory, I guess, is the bus rides when we would sing in there, and like we had such a special group. Everybody got along, and it was such a great time, my experience at DVC.
And I've taken the opportunity to tell everybody that I've invited to be part of this. You're all big parts of what I think of when I think of DVC soccer, and I figured I'd tell you what pops to mind the second I think of your name specifically. So, if you don't mind. But Ale, for you, I know it's a painful memory for you, but it's that state semifinal where just doing what you always did, just being that whirling dervish on the field, no regard for your own safety, only regard for getting to the ball. It's one of those things, like, obviously we were scared for you, but as we look back in retrospect, we're like there could not have possibly been a more Ale way for her to unfortunately leave the field that day. Like, that was such a you play. Just, you were high octane all the time, and that sacrifice was huge for the team. And speaking of sacrificing for the team, Noelle ended up playing the final on a broken toe because of that. I was going to say, I have two of the warriors of this team here on today's interview, and that was always certainly what pops to mind for me. The other thing that pops to mind for me with Noelle is that I was incapable of saying no to you, because you're the one that made me continue to broadcast even after the season when I had to stop for the most part, because we had that president's reception, and you told me, you said, okay, if we make the playoffs next season, you're coming back and you're calling our playoff games. I went, okay. and y'all went and did that, and you even made a point of scoring a worldie in that playoff game so that it wouldn't be all for naught.
About as even as it gets. DVC attacking now in number 82. Noelle Palmer holding it. She's going to beat the keeper from distance! Goal! Goal! Noelle! Noelle! Noelle!
It's just the greatest feeling, having you on our sideline, listening to your excitement. It made us more excited when you were around. And it was definitely something we missed since we didn't have it as much during the second year, the 2017 season. But it meant so much for us that you came out, during playoffs. We didn't go as far, but it's still the same feeling. So.
Yeah. Well, before we call it a day, are there any shout outs you'd like to do to coaches, former teammates that might be watching our show?
I'll shout out Megan, Vanek, Carla, Marlene. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to Cam. Okay, I'll just shout out the whole team and the coaching staff. I love them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. That 2016 team especially, for me, was just such a pleasure to be a part of. All of the girls were so awesome to play with. Loved the coaches. Sad that Julio left after that, but it was just such an exciting time, and each one of those players made it special.
All right, well, thank you so much, Noelle and Ale, for coming on the show today. It was really great to see you again. We are headed back to the field for the second 45 minutes, DVC looking to finish strong, and Noelle continuing to hunt her hat trick. 3-0 as we restart on Viking Soccer Rewind.
Opening whistle of Cabrillo. DVC here at the Vike back in August to, soon enough, this very moment. We are back underway here at Vikings Field. Malera and Lemos kicking off. The Vikings will be attacking from the right to the left as we are stationed. Jessica Jaime handling the ball immediately here. Dargan, Raymer, and Weinstein also joining her in the defensive line. Looks like Lindemann, Ruvalcaba, and Malera in the midfield. Ramos, Lemos, and let's see, who's over there on the right? Is that Cam Chan? She's blocked by Noelle Palmer, who has quite the big body to deal with there to try to see past. The ball brought forward for Noelle Palmer, tried to flick that on into the left wing for Carla Ramos, claimed by Nunes over there. Bammer, Santoyo, Adams, and Carlton still the defense for Las Positas. We'll try and get an idea of the rest of the team that's out there. I do see Fonseca, Torres, Silva, and Morales still out there, along with the number 12, now Mackenzie Paulo. And that is Blakey back out there again on the left side. So there are your formations as Megan Malera absorbs the first foul here just about 50 seconds into the second half. 4-2 the foul count. And the free kick taken immediately down the left side to find Carla Ramos. On one touch, she puts us into the 18. Knocked down near the penalty dot by Lemos. Tries to get turned. Fires! Off the crossbar and out! Met with the head of Cam Chan. Popped up in the 18 and claimed by Nunes just before Cam can get to her own rebound. Noelle Palmer, a minute and 5 seconds into half number 2, very nearly finding the hat trick that she spent most of the second half against Solano hunting and never quite finding. That's 18 Vikings shots, 11 of them on frame, 3-3, still the count for Las Positas. They have as many shots on goal as the Vikings have goals at this point. That is a good place to be. Long ball scuffed as Weinstein tried to clear that. No problem, though. Goes all the way back to Katie McLaughlin. DVC's defense here conceding just 10 goals in the regular season. That was third best goals against average behind Folsom Lake and Fresno in Northern California. And Katie Mack herself, 6th in the state and 2nd in NorCal in goals against average for keepers that got at least 33% of their team's minutes. DVC looking to add on the offensive end, though, right now. Ruvalcaba over to the left side for Ramos. A little awkward to settle. Now puts it into the 18. Knocked down by Lemos in the 6. Still alive! And Ramos hits that, but she was offside. So that will not go down as a shot right there, even as it whistled just above the crossbar. It's okay. Keeps the percentages up. 2.5 minutes gone. DVC with 2 real good shouts. At a 4th goal here and something to end any and all doubt. They were up 4-0 at halftime against Solano, 3-0 here after Ale Gonzalez got that late one. Bit of a tactical switch here as Carla Ramos has just been torching the 18 Mackenzie Palmer over here, and so They make a little bit of a switch. They move her over to the left, and Ashley Carlton over here to contend with Carla. Dre Weinstein able to handle the long ball from the Las Positas free kick. Cleared now, and to the feet of Vanessa Rubalcaba. Into the center circle, right in the middle of the pitch for Megan Malera. Sprayed over to the right wing looking for Chan. Can she beat Bammer to it? She does. Protects it nicely with the body. Now dribbling in retro, tries to lay that into the space for Dre Weinstein on the overlap coming up on the right wing. Nothing doing, though. The LPC defense closes on her. Back to Yadi Torres. Now into the center and intercepted there by Megan Malera about 40 yards from goal. She looks to loft another one in here for Carlita. She tries to beat Carlton to it. She does get the poke, but it's too far for either her or Lemos to get to, and it's cleared by LPC. Into the center circle right now for the 17. Taken away from her by Jess Jaime, but that's going to drift over to Blakey after Morales was dispossessed. Jaime able to block a pass and still getting stuck in. Jessica just making things miserable for the LPC attack, but they do manage to get out of it. Ashley Carlton now springing down the right side, and it's Ramos trying to bottle her up. Carlton crossed into the 18, reflected by the head of Jaime, right back to Carlton. Now rolling this in on the ground, and that looks like it's going to drift over the end line for a goal kick. So we may have seen a little bit of this coming, given the performance against common opponents for these two sides. First off, worth noting that DVC did their damage, that 3-2 victory over LPC in Livermore. And so also getting home field advantage here, a pretty big deal. Oddly enough, Las Positas had a pretty decent hand in that. DVC might not have been the one seed if not for LPC maintaining a record over 750 with their victory on the last day of the season against Foothill. This ball lofted over the top looking for Morales. Dargan tracks that. She'll drop it all the way back to Katie Mack. Crunches this one deep. It's going to get over both Lindemann and another LPC player. She finally does get to it on the bounce, heads it right to the body of Kaylee Silva. And LPC try to build something here from the back. Spinning is Yadi Torres, and she is held there by Lindemann, and the ball is dispossessed by Carla Ramos. Forward for Lemos. She plays a little bit of hold up with her back to goal. Lets Malera come forward. Lets Ramos get into the attack. Carla dribbling on a diagonal and now finds Rubalcaba with a ton of space on the right side. Rubalcaba a chance to run at Adams. Rubalcaba approaching the 18, firing and popped up by Nunes, and she just barely keeps that from ending up in the net. That's popped up on her and she caught it probably right on the line. The DVC bench wanted it. From my position, I think Nunes did in fact manage to catch that before it got over the line, but it was close. Cam Chan looking to get on a ball here as DVC have put 12 shots on frame. A couple of them quite literally off the woodwork. Chloe Lindemann up to try to guard against the arrival of Yadi Torres. Not going to be able to. Torres trying to come through. Fonseca again. Fonseca dribbling on a defender. Now comes to a stop. Spins to her right. Now back to her left. Has the ball on her left foot, tries to bring a ball in, blocked by Chloe Lindemann, and the ball cleared deep in the direction of Noelle Lemos. Rhiannon Adams first to that, but the ball is cleared and held by Cam Chan. Manages to get through the first defender, finds Vanessa Rubalcaba, spin cycle to let a defender go by, and now threads this through a couple defenders to find Ramos. Unfortunately, Carlton able to get to it just before the arrival of Carlita. 6.5 minutes gone in half number 2. It remains 3-0 to the green and white. Mackenzie Paolo holds the ball here. Carla Ramos trying to bring this through, and Kaylee Silva able to wall it off at the midfield stripe. They try a 1-2 on the right side, and Mackenzie Paolo absorbs a ball right to the dome, and she is going to need a moment to collect herself. Jessica Jaime trying to clear, and that hit Paolo, and we saw the hair go flying. Luckily for the training staff, she is right over by the near sideline, but we'll take the opportunity in the stoppage and play here to talk a little bit about what's going on elsewhere in the bracket. We don't have any scores for you yet for any of the matches of interest in Northern California. None of them have posted. 2 of them are going on, however, at the same time as this one. San Joaquin Delta, the 4 seed, is hosting Fresno in Stockton, and that, in fact, is going to be the match that produces our next opponent, assuming that DVC are able to conduct this one to a satisfying conclusion. Also in action, Santa Rosa, as we mentioned, against City College of San Francisco. 5 p.m. today, Folsom Lake will take on CRC in a Big 8 derby. That's all on the other side of the bracket. Those 4 teams, the Bear Cubs, Rams, Falcons, and Hawks, would only be able to face the Vikings potentially in a state title game. Ball in possession of DVC. Ramos trying to thread it down the left line. Carlton able to keep the ball in play, and now Ramos threads it forward looking for Lemos. Cleared away by Rita Santoyo, and that'll be a throw-in for the DVC Vikings coming from the left side. We're approaching the point where it almost starts to make sense to take a look at Southern California, so let's do that. Also in action right now at 2 p.m., Cerritos, the number 1 seed in the South, and the defending state champions are at home against Moore Park in the 1-8 game there. Here's the throw-in for Noelle Lemos, trying to get herself turned. Two defenders crash in on her. Rhiannon Adams takes it away, but Carla Ramos takes it right back, dribbling towards the left edge of the 6. She tries to cross it in, stays in play, tries to heel flick it through Adams, and now here comes the clearance, only as far as Chloe Lindemann, but she can't quite stop it cleanly, as I imagine she probably had visions again of that goal she scored in the last match. Ball taken away by the combination of Lindemann and Chan over on the right side. Tries to dribble that through Mackenzie Bammer. Bammer takes it away, holds it in play as the last touch had been from her, and Rachel Blakey receives. Las Positas trying to spring from the back with about 8.5 minutes gone in our second half. If you're just joining us, 3-0 to the good. Green and white doing very, very well. Noelle Lemos in the 8th, Noelle Lemos in the 9th, Lemos again in the 28th, and then Ale Gonzalez in the 44th minute, just before halftime. Bammer dispossessing Megan Malera over at the far sideline, pushing a ball forward for Las Positas. Morales able to guard against the arrival of Raymer. The ball down the left wing is going to be claimed by Weinstein before any Hawk can get to it. Katie Mack on it. She'll just spray that out with her legs over to the right side again for Dre Weinstein. Her ball forward from Malera, cut off by the arrival of Morales. Spins her way through the arrival of Chloe Lindemann. Now lays it to the left wing and finds an offside Mackenzie Paolo, and that'll be a free kick for the Vikings. So we were starting to say here that Las Positas have a similar sort of split. If you look at their high-scoring team, they put up, let me do that math again really quickly. I think it's 77 goals this season. But against teams over 500, 27 scored, 17 conceded, 4 wins, 2 losses, 3 draws. By comparison, DVC 8-1-6, 23 scored, 10 conceded. And so just like Solano, they did most of their damage against teams that were under 500. 8-0-1 record, although they did draw rather shockingly to West Valley, 0-0. But against those sorts of teams, they scored 46 times, conceded 3. DVC, for comparison, 6 games against teams under 500, tells you a lot about how they wound up being the 1 seed when you're playing opposition of that quality. 25 scored, none conceded. Vikings looking to add to their tally of goals against teams over 500. Here's a nice job by Rubalcaba to manage the header, but she spun it over in the direction of Chan, who had drifted offside over on the right flank. Free kick to come here in favor of Las Positas, a little over 10 minutes off the clock here in half number 2. The Vikings approaching a first ever regional final in program history. They would face either San Joaquin Delta or Fresno City College right here at the Vike this Saturday. So the free kick to come here in just a moment. We were looking around the bracket just a moment earlier. I'll go ahead and return us to that in just a second. Here's a long ball met with the head of Megan Malera, pushed over towards the number 3 Rhiannon Adams. She's able to hold it. Now sprays it down the right wing. Nobody really moving into that space. It's Dej Dargan at full gallop to try to get there before Mackenzie Paolo does. She holds it in play with a little heel flick. Now sprays it up the right sideline. We'll see if Malera can get there to hold this ball in play. She gets the first touch. It's going to carry out off of her. It'll be a throw-in for Ashley Carlton. She puts that right up the right side looking for Paolo. Chested down instead, though, by Ramos. Drop back to Jaime. Puts it through the legs of a player. That's spiteful. And now a nice 1-2 between Malera and Ramos. Forward now looking for Lemos. Almost wrong-footed her, but Ramos is going to come through 2 defenders and take the ball back off the shoulder of Rhiannon Adams, trying to get herself wound up for a shot with the right boot. Now slides it into the center. Not quite in the right spot for Lemos to get onto it. Clearance, though, only as far as Dre Weinstein, about 30 yards from goal. Tries to thread a ball back in, takes a deflection at point-blank range. Comes to Rubalcaba instead. Vane gets off the shoulder of a player. Vane entering the 18, thrown to ground. Free kick DVC. 5th foul of the match. Vane Rubalcaba on the ground, tending to her right knee. We hope that's nothing serious. She seems to be okay. Pops back up. A little ginger on it. She probably won't take this free kick, I would imagine. And so Malera has this in place. The ball slightly pushed to the right of dead center on the field, and maybe 2 yards behind the half circle at the top of Ali Noon's penalty area. Big opportunity here. Malera has scored off of 2 free kicks this season, one of them on Saturday against Solano. Got a little help from wet gloves. We'll see what she can do here. Malera cranks it up. This ball drifting a little high. 20th DVC shot. They've put 10 of them on frame. Their accuracy not quite as good here in these first 13 minutes of the second half. 2 for 4. Yet to allow Las Positas to put a single shot in the direction of McLaughlin's goal, though, here in half number 2. That count remains 4 shots, 3 of them on frame 5-2 the foul count in quote-unquote favor of Las Positas. 7-0 still the corner kick count, and of course DVC ahead 3-0 on the scoreboard. Maybe 4. Let's see what Noelle Palmer can do with this ball. Dribbles around a player, tries to thread this through Adams and Carlton to find Ramos. It was blocked, comes right back to her, now drops it back to Jessica. She winds up for a shot, hit it a little funny, and that's going to bounce on two bounces. Yeah, that's the right word. To Ali Nunes. 13th Viking shot on goal. Long ball driven just over the head of Chloe Lindemann. Handled there by Dej Dargan, however. Dargan, forward from Alera, thinking about trying to refeed Ramos down the left side. She's going to use the third dimension, put that over the head of Ashley Carlton. Here comes Ramos, looking to drag that over to the left side. Carlton able to stay with her for the first opportunity. Now the spin cycle from Ramos, and she gets by her on the byline. Here comes the ball into the 18, trying to find Chan. Doesn't get there. Ruvalcaba winds up on the volley and can't quite get it on frame. So we're saying the common opponents maybe teach you a little bit, too, about the difference between these two teams. Las Positas faced 4 of the teams that DVC faced this season, one of them from the Big 8, Casumnas River College, but they also faced 3 of DVC's other 4 non-conference opponents, mainly because those teams are actually in Las Positas' conference. And so against CRC, they had a 3-1 victory. Against Cabrillo, 2-0. As we said, they had the weird 0-0 draw against West Valley, and then won 2-1 against Ohlone. So certainly took care of business, 3 wins, 1 draw. But not in the emphatic fashion that DVC did. Ball forward here, taken down, but the chest of Lemos tried to drop it back for Ramos a little too far. Malera gets to it instead, though. Santoyo will clear from in front of Noelle. Out for a throw. DVC will take this from the left side of their attack. So, but LPC scoring 7 times and conceding twice against that group. DVC were 5-0 against that quartet of teams. 12 scored, none conceded. As the DVC operate a substitution, Weinstein been forced to do a good bit of running up the right side. She will leave and give Sabrina de Bartolebe in a few moments here. Ramos trying to take a ball away from Carlton, and she does. Drops it back to Malera here on the left side. Malera floating a long parabola into the 18, chested down by Chan, trying to get wound up for a shot, and hassled off nicely by Mackenzie Bammer. Ball cleared. That's going to come to the foot, or the head now, of Jessica Jaime, and lost it to the left flank, looking for Megan Malera. Malera in space here near the byline to try to put a cross in. Kaylee Silva trying to guard her. Malera ends up taking the last touch. Goal kick in favor of Las Positas, as we are under a half hour to play. Another substitution to be made. Looks like Amy Ryan re-entering for the Hawks. And so Nunes will take this in just a moment. So things looking pretty decent for the Vikings right now. We didn't have all the playoff scores last time around, so we'll give you a few of those. I think we had City College over Lassen. But Fresno did indeed defeat Hartnell 1-0. Anissa Wilson with a goal in the 9th minute. San Joaquin Delta pretty authoritative over Modesto 5-1. We didn't have scorers then. We do now, as a foul is called against... Oh, maybe an offside, actually. The assistant referee is right in line with 3 or 4 Las Positas players, which is admittedly right where he's supposed to be, but I couldn't see him. So offside called there as Noelle Palmer tried to knock a ball down. Free kick taken, and out to the right wing now for Camila Fonseca, trying to beat Jessica Jaime to a ball. And it's actually Dej Dargan who's going to come in and take it away. Uses that big, strong body to take it. Now Blakey able to take it away, though, and it's threaded in, cleared by DVC. Carla Ramos holding it in near the near sideline. Dances through a couple of defenders and absorbs a foul from Camila Fonseca. 6th of the game by the Hawks. DVC, free kick to come. So this Daisha Brown in the 44th took Delta a little while to get off the schneid, but once they did, boy howdy did they stay off that schneid. 44th minute, Daisha Brown. Leah Manaleleua, the leading scorer for Delta in the 50th. Kiki Munoz in the 58th. Alyssa Holmes in the 68th and the 80th. And those 2 goals had in the middle of it the lone Modesto tally from Brianna Garza in the 70th, but they were down 4-0 before they managed to get on the board. A story not so dissimilar to the game between DVC and Solano. Clearance by DVC's defense is going to find Noelle Palmer. Neat little bit of shifty dribbling to try to get through Santoyo. Now the ball eats Noelle up just a little bit. She'll drop it back to Carla Ramos. Ramos, low cross towards the edge of the 18. Mismanaged by the defense. Rattling around here, Rhiannon Adams will clear. Kaylee Silva able to handle it here at the edge of the 18, and now she'll loft it towards the center circle for the newly inserted Amy Ryan. De Bartolebe, meanwhile, the only change so far for the Vikings. Otherwise, it's as you were from the beginning of the second half. Raymer, Dargan, and Jaime as Zoe takes the ball away in the defensive third. Nice 1-2 work there. She dumps it to De Bartolebe, and she manages to feed Ruvalcaba. She's looking to spring Cam Chan on a sprint down the right side. She will beat the defender to it. Lofts in a cross. That's going to wind up, though, over the back line before anyone has a chance to get onto it. Vikings about to author some subs as well. Looks like McDonald and Stridiron to enter in just a moment. Folsom Lake, we had mentioned, up victorious over Mendocino 4-0. Allie Miller in the 8th minute, Kiana Claypool in the 15th. Same sort of quick start DVC had. They also picked up a pair in the second half. And most notably for us, we noticed that Torres, Karina Torres, their leading scorer and assist woman, who'd been injured for the better part of a month and a half, is back and scored in the 60th minute. The ball rolled in by Cam Chan from Malera, touches it through a defender, finds Noelle Lemos. Lemos getting turned, fires just barely wide of the left upright. 23rd DVC shot, 13 of them on goal. That percentage not looking nearly as good as it did at halftime, but still DVC putting on pressure. And again, that 3 shots on goal for Las Positas, as it has been since really, I think, about the 30-minute mark. That is the kind of stat that makes you smile. Ramos and Malera off, McDonald and Stridiron in, so Emac on the left wing of the attack, Chan otherwise on the right, bracketing Lemos. Stridiron slots into the midfield alongside Ruvalcaba and Lindemann. DeBartoleben, Raymer, Dargan, and Jaime, your defense. Here's the ball rolled over to the right side looking for Rachel Blakey. Jess Jaime wise to that. She'll drop it back for Zoe Raymer. And she's going to spray this wide to the right side for Sabrina DeBartoleben. Gets there before it goes out of play. Rolls it into the middle for Chloe Lindemann. She'll find Zoe Raymer, who tries to push this Route 1 forward. It took a deflection off of an LPC player. Silva and Stridiron bodying each other up to try to get to that. Ruvalcaba banks that off of the 29 in white, and that's going to go out in the spectator stands for a Vikings throw. We had mentioned Cosumnes River sprang the only upset, a pair of Aberrin Calvin goals in the 24th and the 86th minute. It was the only first-round upset in NorCal, because Santa Rosa managed to avoid real heartache against Cañada College in the 3 versus 14 matchup. They were up 2-0 after a half hour, a pair of goals from Kaylee Alves, but gave up 2 goals within 5 minutes of each other in the second half, 55th and 60th minutes. Went to the 90th level on 2, and only finally got the game winner in minute number 104 from Priscilla Villalobos. Otherwise, Jesse Bareilles a goal in the 13th minute to give City College of San Francisco their win over Lassen. That's what gets us to today. Las Positas working on the left wing. The throw-in is going to be met with a head swing and a miss by Chloe Lindemann inside the box, trying to take that ball. An LPC player is on the deck as she and Lindemann got tangled up. No foul given, though, as we've got 20 minutes gone in the half. Ball immediately fed forward, and on 3 hops, it's to the body of Katie McLaughlin, and she is in no hurry to get that. She's going to wait for somebody to put a little pressure on her. Here comes Blakey. And now she'll claim it. 24 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Worth noting that this is probably the most likely hunk of time generally. Actually, no, never mind. We just got out of the most likely hunk of time for the Vikings to concede. 3 of their 30 goals. Oh, excuse me. Here's a ball forward in the direction of McLaughlin. She is going to dive and get there just ahead of the arrival of Morales. A nice 1-2 played in the midfield between her and Ryan. Sprang Morales on the right center side of the box. No problem, though, for Katie. We certainly take in a deep intake of breath when she has to come out and challenge like that, because the one thing that somehow escaped our notice at the time as she was conceding the penalty kick against Solano is just what a devastating thing it would be if she were to manage to get herself red carded. It would be a whole different Vikings team. DVC looking to get themselves off to the run on the offense. Noelle Lemos looked to get around one defender, couldn't get around the second. Oof, coming together between McDonald and Carlton. Carlton ends up on the deck, the ball slips away. Over here on the left wing, touched away by the 21 Blakey and out for another Viking throw. 23 minutes, 30 seconds to go in today's encounter. That coming together could have been a yellow, could have even maybe been a red had it been deemed malicious or a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Perhaps since the ball had kind of gone away, it was just given as a simple foul without a card. The Vikings quite lucky for that. It'd be a very different team with somebody besides the defensive player of the year in the Big 8 roaming at the back. Jessica Jaime throwing this one up the left sideline, knocked down by the body of Noelle Lemos, put immediately into the right side of the box, but that is going to be too deep for Chan and a little bit too central. Here comes Allie Nunes, and she's got that. So your last 2 matches of interest both take place at 7 p.m. They're in Southern California, Rio Hondo and San Bernardino. That's the 4 versus 5 game. And then Ventura versus Santa Barbara is the 6 versus 14 game. The result of the only upset in Southern California, which actually was the 3 getting knocked off by the 14, the Vaqueros of Santa Barbara knocking off College of the Canyons. Ball's out the back for another goal kick for Las Positas. We're at the halfway point of half number 2. Ale Gonzalez, scorer of DVC's 3rd goal in minute number 44, about to come in for the Vikes. So as we mentioned, nothing yet reported for any of those scores. We'll try to get you some of those in the post-game show. For those of you listening to this game live, you'll be able to find that post-game show along with the rest of today's podcast probably sometime around 7 to 8 p.m. tonight. That'll be on the DVC, or I should say the Viking Soccer Real-Time SoundCloud, same place where you found the interview, soundcloud.com/VSRT. Las Positas trying to manage a ball in the midfield. Stridiron trying to make that challenging as Fonseca manages to roll it under Lindemann. Now sprays it to the left wing. Sabrina de Bartoleben wise to it. Leaves that for the arrival of Rubalcaba. Can't quite spin and feed a teammate. It's going to come to Amy Ryan instead, working on de Bartoleben. Sprays it down the left wing, looking for Fonseca. She is going to keep that in play underneath the old oak tree. Tries to drag it through a defender and does. Now puts a ball into the 18-yard box. Met with the head of Chloe Lindemann very authoritatively. DVC back in control. Chan, forward for Gonzalez, able to avoid the arrival of the next defender, and now sprays this to the left wing nicely. Good change at the point of attack to Erica McDonald. She will try to work on Carlton. Looks to dribble that through her. Can't on the first try, but it sticks to Emac's feet. Now tries to roll this to Ale Gonzalez. Knocked down by Kaylee Silva there. Ball forward is deflected off the back of Jaime. That's going to roll to Jessica Morales. She tries to push this forward in the direction of Amy Ryan. Sabrina de Bartoleben gets it, though. Forward looking for Tasha Stridiron. Gets through her, but it's going to come to Ale Gonzalez running up the gut. Here comes Ale. Ale with 4 defenders trying to hang back on her and not able to get it off of her foot to feed Cam Chan wide on the right side. Mackenzie Bammer steps up and takes it. Bammer looking to get herself around Vanessa Rubalcaba. She flies to ground. The referee, Mr. Montalvo, looks the other way, and the ball is brought forward in the direction of Amy Ryan on the left flank. Sabrina de Bartoleben able to keep that from going straight down the flank. Ryan does get back onto it, tries to feed it into the center. Blakey not able to handle, though. DVC take it away. Good work by Dej Dargan. Worked over to the left for Jessica Jaime. All kinds of time as she approaches the center stripe. Now Kaylee Silva moves up. Forward to McDonald. Now to Gonzalez. Almost too many cooks in the kitchen. Emac trying not to drift too far, but the ball forward from Gonzalez is going to go straight over the back line for a goal kick. Substitution time here for Las Positas. And so they will remove the 21 Blakey. Looks like the number 9 Raylene Mendieta coming in for her first action of the postseason. 20 minutes and counting to go here in today's Sweet 16 matchup. The Vikings 20 minutes away from the Elite 8, from a regional final. An opportunity to play for a spot in a state Final Four for the first time in program history. Ale Gonzalez settling a ball in the midfield, tries to loft that to the right for Chan. Not quite long enough, though. Bammer knocks it down with the chest. Gonzalez now all the way over on the other side of the field, hassling her. This is exactly what Katie McLaughlin told us we could expect when Gonzalez came over here from College Park. That kind of intensity. Here's a nice ball splitting 2 defenders by Erica McDonald, and Santoyo's clearance banks off of Emac. She's not quite going to be able to hold it in. Throw in to come. Santoyo immediately the long throw in the direction of Carlton. Up steps Jaime to body her up. Goes through both of their legs. Mendieta trying to get it. Jaime beats her to it and has the last touch. Ale and Jaime, by the way, with something in common. Both of them legacy players for DVC. They are the younger sisters of Vikings from years past. Bri Gonzalez, a 2-year starter for DVC in 2013 and 2014. A captain her second season. I'm going to try and get my wires untangled here. I think some of the interference you might have heard just a moment ago, the result of the live stream wire and the podcast wire overlapping with each other. Go ahead and take a electronics and circuits class if you want to learn why that's happening. We've got them here at DVC. We've also got a great soccer team. It brings us whole families worth of players. Yasmin Jaime, of course, the older sister, young one, as we called her, of Jessica Jaime. Here's a ball wide to the right side for Chan. She is going to get there before it goes over the end line. In fact, it stops right there, tries to thread it in, almost mishandled by Rhiannon Adams, and she will clear it out by the auxiliary goals. Throw in to come for DVC with 18 minutes to go. And so we'll take these final 18 minutes to also go a little bit around the horn for you and tell you a bit about other things going on in DVC athletics. Namely, a number of the fall sports have come to their conclusion at this point. We've got some of the winter sports and one club sport still in action. Ball cleared over here by LPC. Jess Jaime is going to get to it first, pops it up with a head. Here comes Erica McDonald trying to settle that under Ashley Carlton. Couldn't quite drag it through the LPC right back, and she looks to accelerate and feed someone. Her ball forward for Jessica Morales, though, handled by Dej Dargan with the chest. Ball's going to come out and stop over here by me. Throw in to come for LPC. The ball forward by Dargan took a deflection off of Ale, and she wasn't quite able to settle it. Throw in met with the head of the statuesque Erica McDonald. She and Jess Jaime wiping each other out, actually, as they tried to challenge for that header, but it ends up working out. DVC control for a moment, forward for straight iron. Silva slides and punches it out for another DVC throw. So among the sports that are done with for the time being, Shelley Pearson's cross-country team finished up on Saturday at the state finals. They were in Fresno while DVC were over here facing Solano. Battle between Mendieta and McDonald, and that's going to be the first foul whistled, in fact, against the DVC Vikings in this half. McDonald kind of on the back of Mendieta. Ball lofted over the right side right now, looking for Amy Ryan. Jess Jaime will get there and clear it. Throw in to come here for Las Positas. But for cross-country, DVC as a team not necessarily performing out of this world at that competition, but a few bright spots in there. Kevin Orellana paced the DVC men with his second fastest 4-mile time of the season, 22:04. Ariana Corbin was just 7 seconds off of her personal best, which she had run 2 weeks earlier at the NorCal Championships. Finished 71st out of 200 runners at the state finals. Jessica Mendez also just 5 seconds off of her best time of the season, finishing right behind Corwin in 74th. Ball cleared out for another Las Positas throw, a little over a quarter of an hour to go here. Mike Darr's football team, a little bit less of a happy ending. They fell in a classic at the State Center Bowl against Sacramento City. Ball whipped forward by Yari Torres. That is going to go all the way over the back line on a couple of hops, and Katie McLaughlin will get a chance to put a goal kick into play in just a moment. It's a low-octane first half in that State Center Bowl. Sacramento City led 7-3 after an early touchdown that the Vikings responded to with a Manny Lopez field goal. Marquise Davenport would actually feature pretty heavily in the second half for the Vikings. He scored 2 touchdowns, one rushing and one receiving on just 4 touches. The second of those was with 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go, and it gave DVC a 16-13 lead. Second time they had taken the lead in that game. Unfortunately for them, Sac City marched right down the field and had one last shot to take at the end zone before they were going to settle for a field goal to send the match to overtime at 16-all. On that last opportunity, it was Justin Yaton finding Cailin Mack for a 17-yard touchdown with 8 seconds left on the clock. DVC, with a little more left on the clock, looking to attack here and find a 4th goal. Here's Erica McDonald putting a ball in that is going to be reflected out for the DVC, for the Vikings' 8th corner kick of the encounter. 8-0 the corner kick count, as we are in minute number 76. 6-3 the foul count. 23-4 the shot count. 13-3 the shots on goal count, and of course, most importantly, 76th minute, 3-0 on the scoreboard. The DVC Vikings in total command, and a little more than a quarter of an hour away from a chance to play for a spot in Ventura. Ruvalcaba, the corner kick from the left side. This is drifting into the 18, headed from just in front of Cam Chan, out for another Viking corner. That'll be their 9th. So Mike Darr's football team finishing 5-6 on the season. Started very brightly, going 4-1 in non-conference play, but then mirrored that, unfortunately, in Bay 6 play with a 1-4 record and fell in their bowl game very, very narrowly. About as close to being 500 as you really can be in that case. Ruvalcaba to put in another cross. Here's this ball drifting in. It's going to meet the head of Chan, still alive in the box! And it's off the left upright and out. Last touched by a Las Positas Hawk again. 24 shots, 14 on frame, corner kick number 10, and it will be number 10, Vanessa Ruvalcaba, to put it in again from the left wing. DVC looking for the icing on the cake now in minute number 77. My lucky number, let's see if it's theirs. Ball in from Ruvalcaba, met again with the head of Rhiannon Adams, and a 4th corner in a row for DVC. Ruvalcaba with the smile on her face that you heard about during our halftime interview. She's got to be tired by now. Might even think about taking this one with her left. Nope, comes off the right. This one drifting nicely in the 6, punched away by Nunes as Ale Gonzalez was crashing in at the far post. So 4th time is not the charm. DVC unable to add to that tally, and we're going to have a referee's timeout here with 13 minutes left on the clock as the player who was challenging Ale Gonzalez and may have actually swept under her keeper, Amy Ryan, is on the deck in some discomfort. So we'll finish up with our around the horn coverage here. The referee asking the trainers to stay off the pitch, and they will be apparently not needed at this moment. Wendy Holt and her associates just to my left here. Ryan still doesn't look like she's feeling great, but does manage to get back to her feet and jog back to join her teammates. Doesn't look like Coach Sapsford has any inkling of putting in a substitute for her here. DVC, meanwhile, are preparing a substitution. It'll be Megan Malera in just a moment as the Vikings give the ball back to Las Positas here on the restart. So football is done, cross country is done, volleyball and water polo had finished up earlier. We talked about them last time around. Club lacrosse still in action. It's the only other fall sport still busy. So Ruvalcaba will loft the ball back over to Ali Nunes with a little under 12 minutes to go. Club lacrosse is going to be facing off against the University of the Pacific here at DVC on Thursday, December 1st. And that's the current situation with all the other sports, is that nobody else is set to be in action until that weekend. It's just DVC women's soccer that'll have the chance to try to do a little something on Saturday. Otherwise, everybody else is idle until the 1st of December. Ale Gonzalez running in retro under pressure from Mendieta. She'll roll this into the center circle. And here comes Sabrina DeBartoleben. DeBartoleben looking to thread this through the channel to the right wing. Finds Cam Chan. Can she get around Bammer enough to put in service? Not just yet. Two of them battling body on body. It's out and off of Bammer. Throw in for Cam. That'll give them a chance to put Megan Malera in. Looks like Stridiron is going to be coming off the pitch for DVC. Club lacrosse 6-5-1 right now. They started the season 1-5-1. They're now on a 5-match winning streak after beating UC Davis on Saturday 16-7. So as we said, they're hosting University of the Pacific. The CJCLA championship is on December 11th. We'll see if they qualify for that. That really mainly is composed of Santa Barbara Community College, Grossmont, and DVC. That's the three teams in that federation. So they'll play for supremacy of that trio. DVC currently the title holders. That'll be on December 11th. I don't know if there are any opening rounds. They haven't been declared just yet. Amy Ryan dribbling her way into the midfield. Dej Dargan trying to hold her up, does so very, very nicely and runs onto the ball after gets away from the number 10 rather, in white and red. Here's the ball forward looking for Ale Gonzalez from Erica McDonald. Wrong foots her a little bit. Pops up on Raylene Mendieta. She's able to hold the ball in. Sombreros Erica McDonald and now hoofs it deep into the center of the pitch. Met with the head of Jessica Jaime. Deflection from Ruvalcaba, but can't hold the ball there for the Vikings. 10 minutes to play. 3-0 DVC in the lead. 3 goals all in the first half. Vane Ruvalcaba takes a ball away here. A little bit of assistance from the center of the defense. Now looks to play a 1-2 with Cam Chan. Ruvalcaba wiped out over at the right side. No foul given for that. In fact, it's off of Vane, and it's going to be a throw-in going Las Positas' way. My goodness. Looks to take the ball away again from Amy Ryan. Can't quite do so at the far sideline. Lets her by this time. Not really interested in letting that rush of blood to the head from the earlier collision cause a foul. And boy, oh boy, that is a player all over Sabrina DeBartoleben. I don't know how that's not a yellow card. She's got her hands all over her, tugging at her jersey to keep her from getting away. Free kick DVC on the 7th Las Positas foul. Now, we did mention that there are some winter sports that have gotten started here for DVC. We're going to wait on that for a second because the free kick has found Ale Gonzalez trying to work her way through Rhiannon Adams on the right side. She does get through Adams. Looks like she commits a foul in the process after she had poked it by her. That's 7-4 now, the foul count. Las Positas with more of those. Lemos with a pair in half number 1 before the half-hour mark. Gonzalez with a goal right before halftime. DVC comfortably leading this one 3-0. And are just 8 minutes, 40 seconds away from a berth in the regional finals. The Elite 8 of California. Ale Gonzalez on it again. Spins herself into the deck trying to get around the arrival of Mendieta. Fonseca, I think. Fonseca tangled up here with Ale, and this time it's the Las Positas player committing the foul. Ale Gonzalez just torturing people in the middle right there, but she's got to watch out. Great find by Chloe Lindemann to see Malera with a little bit of space. Malera at the edge of the 18 is going to spray this wide to the left for McDonald. Here comes the cross from the byline. It's a little bit too high for the arrival of Chan. Lindemann not quite able to hold it in. Fonseca touches it by her. Mendieta on it now. Mendieta. Forward for Jessica Morales here at the center line. Rolls it to the right for Fonseca. Looks to touch that through Dargan. She does touch it through Dargan, but Dargan is going to be the one to win that ball away at the end. The winter sports we're speaking of so far are just basketball, and those are both underway at this point. Ramondo Vaughn's 4th in the North women, coming off of back-to-back seasons in which they've made the same Elite 8 that DVC are going to be participating in here soccer-wise in just a moment. DVC throw-in to come in a moment as the ball is touched away from Ale Gonzalez. DVC is going to operate a substitution in the meanwhile. Lemus and Ramos coming in for McDonald and Chan, it appears. So Ale is going to come out of the center forward position and go out to the wing. So it's Ramos on the left, Gonzalez on the right, Lemos in the center of the attack, Malera, Lindemann, and Rubalcaba, the usual starting midfield for DVC. DeBartoleben, Raymer, Dargan, and Jaime across the defense, and it's Jaime taking the throw in right now. Rolls that to Malera, pokes that through the arrival of Carlton, finds Carlo Ramos near the left corner flag. Here comes a ball in just over the head of Gonzalez. Rubalcaba coordinates to try to hit that on the volley, but can't quite hold it down. On DVC's 25th shot, they put 14 of them on frame and 3 in the back of the net. The Vikings looking for a strong final 7 minutes. Go into their matchup with either a Fresno team that seems weaker than in years past, and that last the Vikings saw, they were able to draw here at Pleasant Hill 0-0, or a Delta team that they drew twice this season, 1-1 here and 2-2 in Stockton. Noelle Lemos, nice little bit of dribbling to get around Carlton, now puts a ball in. Gonzalez can't quite win that, and reaching out, apparently Gonzalez whistled for a foul. Free kick on the 5th foul, I think maybe a high boot of some sort. The whistle goes, DVC's 5th foul, and a free kick taken here, immediately headed back into the three-quarter zone by Megan Malera. Rita Santoyo will collect that, though. We'll take the moment here to talk a little bit more about Raimondo Vaughn's basketball team. 4th in the North women's basketball. They're 5-1 so far after a couple of very productive tournaments. They're in action again on next weekend, as is men's basketball. Oh, Rubalcaba, great ball to Malera, firing for the far post, saved by Allie Nunes, diving to her left. 15th shot on goal for DVC. Malera trying to drag that from the left side of the box towards the far post. Ale Gonzalez getting stuck in with a hard 2-footed tackle, and another foul, and the Vikings coaches put hands to head. They might be thinking about removing her just so she doesn't end up making herself unavailable for the matchup with either Delta or Fresno. Ale and Chloe Lindemann in particular, and Dej and Zoe, certainly the kinds of players that you need potentially against the San Joaquin Delta, a team that plays so physical and so fast. Cannot afford to be without Ale in a matchup like that. Vanessa Rubalcaba taking a ball away and sprays us to the left wing where Carla Ramos is galloping. Carlton in pursuit, trying to get back to her. Carla tries to put a ball into the 18-yard box, reflected by Santoyo. Carlton prolongs. Here comes Lindemann, and she anticipates the arrival of Jessica Morales, drops it back to Jaime. Dargan, forward for Zoe. Zoe looking for someone with space. She finds Vane Rubalcaba in the center circle. Sprayed over to the left side, and that's going to be intercepted there by Mendieta. Didn't seem like she saw her. 4:35 to go. Ball forward, intercepted by Jessica Jaime. Drop back now to Dej Dargan. Vikings looking to make these last few moments disappear. Get themselves into the locker room happy. It would be their 16th win. It would be a new program record for wins in a season. If they get through these last 4 minutes and 14 seconds without Las Positas finding a way to resurrect themselves. Here's a ball into the 18 by Las Positas. Fonseca, her ball in is reflected by Raymer. It's now Ryan working against DeBartoleben. Lindemann and Raymer try to triple her up. Ryan bounces off of it and is now running in retro, trying to find somebody to feed. DVC doing a good job to cut off options, and the ball is going to drift out to Jessica Jaime. Long ball forward, claimed by Lemos. Drops that into a space for Megan Malera. Drags that around one defender. Can she beat Carlton to it? Not quite. Carlton working up the right side, avoids the arrival of Ramos, but gives it right to Jess Jaime with her ball forward. Ramos into the middle for Malera. Good triangle play there. Good 1-2 with Lindemann. Malera with a little bit more space, dribbles into 2 defenders. Now has to leap back to try to recover that from Mendieta and can't. Carlton forward. Mishandled by Torres. Back to Malera. DVC nice and calm. Finding Carla Ramos. Sprayed into the center circle for Vanessa Rubalcaba. Great vision from Carlita. Vane, little shifty run to try to work her way around the number 7. Vane, accelerating, firing from distance, and that is going to wind up into the softball stands. A little bit high. The 7, meanwhile, is Paulina Gonzalez, who came in recently for Las Positas, probably while I was talking about basketball. I'm going to finish doing that, too, as well, because the big news here, the women's team, as we said, very successful these last few years. Steve Cochemilio, very successful for a long, long time here at DVC. His number 10 in the North men's basketball team, currently 4-1. They beat ARC 67-59 on Saturday before falling to Foothill. But that victory over ARC is number 600 for Coach Cochemilio in his 27 years at DVC. 12 conference championships in that time, 7 Elite Eights, 1 Final Four back in 97. The sort of success that Viking soccer are looking to get right here as Rita Santoyo puts a ball out in front of Ramos. A throw in to come for the Vikings with 2.5 minutes to go. Here's the ball put in for Noelle Lemos, trying to dribble through defenders. She does, fires! Goal! Lemos! Once, twice, 3 times a goal scorer. Hat trick in the playoffs. She has 3. Gonzalez 1. Minute number 88. DVC on top 4-0, and they are headed to the next round. Oh, that feels good to say. Amy Ryan takes the ball here for Las Positas as these last few minutes get ready to head off the clock. But there's a shot from distance, by the way, an immediate attempt to respond by Las Positas. It's actually the first shot they have put even in the direction of Katie McLaughlin's goal in the second half. 5 shots on the day against DVC's 27. 16 shots on goal for the Vikings against Las Positas' 3. Foul count getting more even, 8-6. Corner kick count, 11-0. And the Vikings up 4-0 on the board as they put in Alex Rodriguez and Tasha Stridiron for a little time. Lemos comes out to get her plaudits, as does Vanessa Rubalcaba. Hat-trick hero Noelle Lemos to the bench. And DVC mere moments away from a berth in the regional final. So we were discussing Coach Cochemilio. He is 3rd all-time, by the way, in 3C2A men's basketball coaching and wins, only behind Percy Carr of San Jose City College and John Chambers of Mount San Jacinto. He'll have a chance to continue to add to that total during our Final Four weekend, when the men will be at the San Francisco tournament and the women will be at the Contra Costa tournament. So a couple of local opportunities. They've been playing in places like Porterville and Merced and all over Creation, Reading, and so forth. A chance to see both of your basketball teams live while you listen to the DVC Vikings, hopefully in Ventura. They're going to need one more victory in order to make that a reality. We'll find out later tonight if that's going to be against Delta or Fresno. DVC off to the races right now. It's Natasha Stridiron on the ball. Shifty running, trying to guard against the arrival of Santoyo. Drops it back to Ale Gonzalez. There come her hip fakes. Pushes it through a defender. Finds Megan Malera leaking out. Megan winds up a shot from distance. That is going to drop just barely over the crossbar. 28th DVC shot. They put the same kind of stats on the board for the most part that we saw them do against Solano. It was, I think, 30 and 17 for shots and shots on frame. Today it is 28 and 16. They dominate corners. They lead by 4. And we wait for Mr. Montalvo to put the whistle to his mouth and bring today's game to a conclusion. Vikings looking for win number 16 on the season. As we said, it would be a program record, and it is mere moments away. Well, I have the opportunity. I'd like to thank Dave Silverstein for helping me test out the streaming possibilities here. Gave you the chance to hear all 4 of these goals. DVC hunting maybe a 5th. Here's Erica McDonald working on the left side. Crosses to the far post. That's drifting awfully close to being right in the back of the net. And that is a DVC playoff victory. The Vikings, for the first time in program history, on their way to the 3rd round. They will play for a berth in Ventura on Saturday. Still to be seen if it's going to be Delta or Fresno, but that is going to be all for us from Pleasant Hill. We'll send you to your highlights and your scores from around the bracket and your analysis from Pleasant Hill. Your final score, DVC 4, Las Positas 0.
Thanks for tuning in to Viking Soccer Rewind. Next Friday, DVC's rivalry with San Joaquin Delta reaches its crescendo, as the Green and White welcome a Mustangs team that advanced on penalties after 2 scoreless hours against Fresno. A spot in the State Final Four tournament, unprecedented for both programs, is on the line. At halftime, we'll meet with DVC's steady center back Zoe Raymer and the 2016 National Player of the Year, goalkeeper Katie McLaughlin. Until then, this is Joe Hickey wishing you sweet, nostalgic dreams of green. See you next time.